Former NFL quarterback Danny Kanell on if Kenny Pickett is the favorite to win the Browns job. This is from CBS Sports HQ.
I think that's an overreaction that he starts for them week one. I think this is Joe Flacco's job. I don't think he'll have a problem beating out Shedeur Sanders and Dylan Gabriel, so I think he'll be resigned to a backup role. I wouldn't be surprised if you see him play at some point, but Kevin Stefanski knows and trusts Joe Flacco, and at 40 years old, I know he seems ancient, but he's still going to deliver and trust somebody you can trust with the offense. We so many times think that players hop around and it's easy to pick up an NFL offense. It is not. You have to learn the new language, the new lingo, and the ability to make checks at the line of scrimmage. It's so intricate, the deals and the systems that you're running. Joe Flacco knows better how to handle it. I think Kevin Stefanski, once the rubber hits the road and it's time to go, I think he'll go with the guy that he trusts the most. Again, I think it'll be a pretty short leash. I think they'll see if he can kind of guide them, be more of that game manager type. But I keep reading about Kenny Pickett, how he's all of a sudden found revival from the year he spent in Philly. He didn't play that much. It's not like he was all of a sudden out there lighting it up. He was in a backup role, and I'm happy for him that he's found another opportunity, and I do think maybe he sees the field at some point, but I'm not sold that he's going to be the guy that Kevin Stefanski trusts week one to say, all right, you're our guy. You're the one we're going to trust to lead us to the playoffs.
So, Spencer, I know you talked about this on the Lockdown Browns podcast. Are the Browns looking at Kenny Pickett as something he's probably not?
Yeah, I mean, I again, I talked about this in the most recent episode, as you alluded to, and I just think I understand what the thought process here is. Like, it's the idea of Sam Darnold, where it's like, well, hey, he can be our reclamation project, our guy that we sort of take and dust off and shine and turn into something. And to go back to our previous conversation, Dave, like maybe Kevin Stefanski's system is the perfect fit for Kenny Pickett, and he does thrive. And I've said this a bunch of times. I think it gets lost in translation sometimes in the podcast. Like, people think I just rag on Kenny Pickett all the time, and I'm not giving him a fair chance. I am willing to see what it looks like. I am willing to see, okay, what do the joint practices coming up next month look like? What does he look like in the preseason? Granted, I've seen Kenny Pickett look really good in the preseason, but I'm willing to see, like, okay, how does he fit in this? Was the problem more so the offensive coordinator he had in Pittsburgh and Matt Canada, and that setup wasn't good for him? I'm willing to give it a chance before I just fully like rule out that is or isn't that guy. But from just what I've watched of Kenny Pickett, from what I understand about Sam Darnold, like, I think comparing the two isn't necessarily apples to apples. Like, the Browns might think they can do that with him and turn his career around as well. But I think that Sam Darnold showed you more, even in those early years of his career, than Kenny Pickett did. And those weren't, I mean, he wasn't in the best situation either with the Jets at the time. We know that. He obviously had his fair share of struggles. There was a lot that didn't go right for him. But he still had, double-digit touchdowns. He still had 3,000-yard seasons. Like, he was doing some things that even Kenny Pickett couldn't do. And I think that's the biggest difference, is I've just seen more from Darnold than I have from Pickett throughout his career to show that, like, okay, he just needed maybe the right situation. I don't know if that's the same with Pickett. I think Pickett is more so just getting this opportunity, but it's not. I just don't think there's as much there talent-wise that is going to necessitate or show itself on the field, essentially. So that's the biggest thing for me. I'm not buying it right now, but again, I'm giving him during training camp in the preseason to see if it can become, if he can earn that spot, if he can show me something that I'm missing, and maybe the coaches see something that I'm missing. I don't know. But I'm just not sold that the situations are like apples to apples. And we can sit there and be like, well, just because the Vikings did it with Sam Darnold, the same thing's going to happen with Kenny Pickett. And if you're banking on that, I think it's a long shot. Because here's the other thing. For every Sam Darnold, there's also like 3 or 4 Mitch Trubisky's, right? Guys that, like, they go somewhere else, try to revive their career, and then they end up as a starter somewhere else, and it doesn't go pretty at all. So I think that you see a lot more of those things happen where it's like, okay, it didn't work in one situation, it's also not going to work in another situation, than you do getting like the Sam Darnold outcome where the guy just becomes great and then earns that massive contract extension as a free agent the next year.